We are living in a moment of acceleration. AI isn't just transforming the world, it's redefining it. And at the heart of this transformation, data, the fuel that drives intelligence, the foundation of innovation. But this shift isn't happening on its own. It's happening here. It's happening now. It's happening because of you. The developers, the engineers, the analysts, the visionaries. You are the architects of the future. You will shape industries, transform organizations, turn raw data into insight, build applications that don't just scale, but think, and drive the outcomes that change everything. It all starts with data because AI is only as powerful as the data behind it. Yet today, that data is siloed, untapped. What's needed now isn't just better technology, it's unification, a new way to bring data together, to connect our teams, to transform how we work. Microsoft Fabric is more than a platform. It's a mindset, a shift in how we think, how we collaborate, how we upskill and push the boundaries of what's possible. This is a moment of acceleration, and it belongs to all of us. It's time to build with purpose, scale with intelligence, empower the next era of AI innovation together. This is Microsoft Fabric Community Conference 2025. Welcome to FabCon.
And now, put your hands together and welcome to T-Mobile Arena, Corporate Vice President of Azure Data, Arun Ulag.
All right. Hey folks, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just so excited to be here. I'm Arun Ulag. I run the Azure Data team here at Microsoft. I'm absolutely loving it here. I'm really looking forward to spending the next few days with 6,500 of our closest customers, partners, and community members right here at FabCon. Thank you so much for joining us. We recognize that this is a big investment of your time, and you're really, really busy people, and we really are grateful that you chose to spend this time with us. Okay. One of the things that we're really, really happy about is that we've done our part. We've brought about 400 of the developers, architects, engineers, product managers, and designers that build Fabric right here to FabCon so that they can talk to you, they can share with you what they're doing, what they're building, why they're building it, and how it can make a difference for you. We also have literally hundreds of customers here, partners, community members, so they can talk to you about their Fabric journey, what they're implementing, the success that they're seeing, as well as some of the choices that they've made in building out architectures. When we think about why we're all here today, we recognize that AI is rapidly changing the world. And it's no surprise to anyone here. However, we're all data people. So we also recognize that AI is only as good as the data that it gets to work on, because it is data that is the fuel that powers AI. The best AI models, unless it has good data to work with, you put garbage in, most likely you're going to get garbage out. So it's become incredibly important for customers to get their data ready for AI. And this is exactly what we've been working on here at Microsoft. Over the last decade or so, we have literally invented and built dozens and dozens of products and technologies that are used by hundreds of thousands of customers around the world. Products like Power BI, products like Azure SQL, Cosmos DB, Data Factory, Cognitive Services, Azure Machine Learning, and Azure OpenAI. Now, one of the things that we're excited about is that we've put all of this innovation together, but it's not just that Microsoft has all of these end-to-end capabilities, but all of these products are industry-leading in their categories. If you look at the Gartner Magic Quadrants, there are 4 Gartner Magic Quadrants that cover the data and AI space. In every one of the Gartner Magic Quadrants, the Microsoft products have a leadership position. This is the Magic Quadrant for data integration, where Microsoft is a leader, Cloud DBMS, where Microsoft is a leader, artificial intelligence for cloud, Microsoft is a leader, and business intelligence, where we are by far the leader. Now, the reason, thank you. So if you look at the 4 Gartner Magic Quadrants that comprise the entire data and AI space, it's exciting to see that there's only one vendor with a leadership position in all 4 Gartner Magic Quadrants, and that's Microsoft. And the reason that matters to you is by working with Microsoft, you not only get all of the capabilities you need to go on your end-to-end data and AI stack, but you know that these products are best in class. However, we know that we can do better. When I talk to customers, we often hear that building data and AI projects is still too complex, too fragmented, takes too long, and costs too much. So the message that we consistently hear from customers is, please unify. I want to be the chief information officer. I don't want to be the chief integration officer. Help me take AI and turn it into my competitive advantage. And that's exactly what we're doing with Microsoft Fabric. With Microsoft Fabric, we've built an end-to-end data platform that helps you go from raw data to AI or BI value in the hands of your business users. Fabric has a set of core workloads, and these are the boxes that you see on top. And these core workloads are purpose-built for specific personas, like data engineers, data scientists, data warehousing professionals, business intelligence professionals. And each of them, are industry-leading in making sure that these developers can get to value very, very quickly. But Fabric is not just a bundle of products. We've taken the time, we've taken the effort to actually bring them together into a single unified platform. So if you work with Fabric, you'll notice that all of these products have a unified experience, they have a unified architecture, and they have a unified business model. Now, Fabric launched about 15 months ago. That's when it became generally available. And since it became GA, the momentum has been simply staggering. Satya announced in our last earnings call that Fabric today has over 19,000 paying customers. Okay. Thank you. Fabric is also the fastest growing analytics platform that Microsoft has ever launched. Now today, among the 19,000 customers, it includes over 70% of the Fortune 500. When we look at how customers are using Fabric, they're really getting value from the fact that Fabric is an end-to-end data platform. So we're seeing over 50%, over half our customers are using Fabric end-to-end. Typically what we see is customers using 3+ workloads, and the most common workloads are using Data Factory to bring data into Fabric, and using either Spark or SQL to transform the data, and using Power BI for semantic models and visualization, and all of the data living in one lake. Now, there's literally dozens and dozens and dozens of customer case studies that are available today where customers are talking about their Fabric journey, why they chose Fabric, the business results that they're seeing. I wanted to highlight just 3 examples. The first is Chanel. Everybody knows Chanel, one of the world's leading companies in terms of luxury fashion. Now, Chanel was looking for an end-to-end data platform that had Gen AI built in, and they chose to deploy Fabric enterprise-wide. The second customer that I wanted to highlight is EY. Now, EY is one of the world's largest organizations with over 400,000 employees, and they work with hundreds of thousands of customers, helping these customers with complex tasks like assurance, tax, and audit. They chose Microsoft Fabric enterprise-wide because it dramatically accelerates their ability to work with data, and it shortens their data supply chain, helping them get to business value faster. And the third customer I wanted to highlight is Epic. Epic is by far the industry leader in medical software, and they help thousands of hospitals and medical care providers around the world to provide compelling care to their patients. When Epic was looking for the data platform for Cogito, which is their analytics platform that they make available to their customers, they chose Microsoft Fabric because they loved the fact that OneLake is a multi-cloud SaaS data lake. They loved the unified capacity model and the data warehousing capabilities in Fabric based on T-SQL that all their developers knew and loved was truly world-class. Now, these are just a few examples, and if you were to look at aka.ms Fabric featured customers, you'll find dozens and dozens and dozens of customer case studies where they talk about their journeys. However, as excited as we are about the 19,000 customers, we see the opportunity to be so much larger to help every one of our customers. And one example where we have democratized data at scale is really Power BI. How many Power BI customers do we have here? Make some noise. So I've been working on Power BI a long time, and today, by far, Power BI is the leader. We have over 375,000 customers, 30 million business users that use Power BI every single month, and 7 million developers. And these customers include over 95% of the Fortune 500. Now, if you look at this chart that you see on the slide, this is the actual usage chart of Power BI since we launched, sorry. And you can see that over the last 10 years, Power BI continues to grow exponentially. And ever since we launched Fabric and it became generally available, you can see that the growth of Power BI has only accelerated. And the reason I'm talking about this is for every one of our 7 million Power BI developers, for every one of our 375,000 Power BI customers, Fabric is just one click away. Now, we have taken the trouble to make sure that it's very easy for every Power BI developer, for every Power BI customer, to very quickly get a Fabric trial. All they have to do is click on their profile picture and start trial. You don't need a credit card. You don't need a Azure subscription. And we give you $17,000 of capacity to be able to build something real over 2 months. Now, this is the most generous trial program in the industry. And the reason we're making it available is because we want every developer to try Fabric, to give it a shot, to see what Fabric can do for them as they build their end-to-end data and AI solutions. Thank you so much. And as excited as I am about our technology, we know it's not just about the technology. It is really about the people. It's about all the personas that work with data, the data analysts, the solution architects, the information workers, the database administrators, the data scientists, the data engineers, and so on. And what's wonderful about Fabric is it really makes it really easy for all of these developers for the very first time to be able to work together and to be able to collaborate with each other seamlessly because all their artifacts live in the same place in Fabric, and because we know that data and AI is a team sport. Now, you're very welcome. And as we bring these capabilities together and these developers and community can collaborate, we also know it's incredibly important for us to build a community. Now, I have personally, me, myself, my leadership team, my entire team has been working very closely with the Power BI and SQL communities for more than a decade. And we're really, really excited to see the massive community momentum. We have over 2.4 million members in the Fabric community worldwide. Yes, and we have a lot of folks right here. Over 300 user groups in pretty much every country, like 62 countries. And I'd highly encourage you to join one of these user groups because we have more than 250,000 members just in the Fabric and Power BI user groups. So if you go to aka.ms/Fabric community, you'll be able to quickly connect with people who are passionate about Fabric, who are eager to share with you their learnings, and also learn from you. Now, this is a community that actually helps each other. One of the things we were excited to share is every 99 seconds, a question from a Fabric community member gets answered by another Fabric community member. So it's really a community that works together. It's also a community that learns from each other. Okay? I'm excited to share that within the last 12 months, we have 30,000 developers who have attained their DP600 or DP700 Fabric certifications. Thank you. Congratulate yourself. These have been the fastest growing certifications that Microsoft has ever launched. And what's also exciting is a lot of the training materials available for these certifications are built by the community for the community. What I'm excited to share today is for those of you who want to take the DP700 certifications, guess what? For every FabCon community member, every FabCon attendee, we're making the DP700 completely free today. So please take a look at this QR code and take advantage of this opportunity. We're also very, very grateful for the MVPs as well as the super users who've really, really leaned in. Now, over the last 6 months, we're excited to add 30 new MVPs and 56 new super users. So I just wanted to celebrate all of the additions to the Fabric community. Thank you so much for leaning in. Please congratulate all of these folks who have leaned in to learn Fabric and communicate with everybody else and help people understand what the product can do. We've also been working very, very closely with our systems integration partners, our global systems integration, our regional systems integrators, vertical systems integrators across the world. And it's also really, really exciting to see the momentum because we know when customers want to implement Fabric, they often seek out a partner that has all of the capabilities and can do it quickly and efficiently. We have 150 Fabric featured partners, but across the entire partner ecosystem, there are 45,000 consultants that are trained and are actively implementing Fabric today. And across the entire partner community, they have delivered over 16,000 customer wins just in the last 12 months. So the momentum is really, really massive. I also wanted to thank our Fabric featured partners, and there's 150 partners on the slide. Many of these partners are here at FabCon. Thank you so much. You can find them in a partner pavilion. But what it means to be a Fabric featured partner is partners that have deeply invested in certifications. So they have a lot of DP600 and DP700 certified consultants. They have many successful Fabric implementations. And they have deep relationships with the product team. So they know our roadmap. They give us feedback on the capabilities we have and really make sure that they can deliver the capabilities with confidence. So I'd love to make sure that we play a quick video so you can hear from some of these partners.
What excites me most about Fabric is having a unified platform. Everything from the ETL to the data storage, the data modeling, the data analytics, and the preparedness and the AI aspects of it, all within the one unified platform.
It's the speed to value. So you can go from having nothing set up to having the platform turned on, ready to start implementing within 10 minutes. You can have your first proof of concept done easily within a week. If you're at the other side, you've got your production set up. Having things like Copilot enabling your business users to get to the insight they need faster, it's a game changer effectively.
The simplicity, you can start with a small solution and then let it simply grow. If you want to start with classical analytics, then you can add real-time intelligence afterwards.
I think the thing that excites me most about Microsoft Fabric is that it puts data at the center. Everybody wants AI, and for AI to work, you have to have data. That's what Fabric can do for us. It brings that all together in one platform for the customers to really accelerate their AI journey.
For me, pretty much everything excites me about Fabric. It's a great product with a lot of innovation. From a developer perspective, I can say it's really a game changer, and I'm looking forward for all the new exciting features that help our customers to get the business value out of the product.
It's changing 15 years of how we're building data warehousing, and it's unifying everything under one hood, under one platform, selling something that I believe in, a solution that I could be confident about, and it's making it faster from the first time we meet the customer, from the intro to when we go to the production. It's a solution that is changing everything until now.
All right, so that was a quick overview of Fabric and how we're doing. Now to the most exciting part of the keynote, I'm going to invite Amir Netz, our technical fellow and CTO, and he's going to show you all the innovation we're landing this week. Welcome, Amir.
Thank you so much, Arun. How are you guys doing? This is what you've been waiting for. We're going to take a look at the product, the innovation, everything that is coming and cool. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. So first we'll start with just framing the vision of the product. We have three pillars in the vision. First of all, we are providing an AI-powered data platform. This means that we bring all the data services together as a single unified platform. Second, we're unifying your entire data estate, and this is where OneLake comes into the picture. And lastly, we are directly connecting with the business users who are sitting in the productivity apps, who wants to get some insights. These are the three pillars. This is the structure of the presentation, and we're going to start with the first pillar. We're going to take a look at what does it mean to have a platform that is end-to-end. Everything comes together. And this is the platform. You've seen this picture before. It has everything that you need for data. It has the data factory for data integration, data extraction, data movement. It has the analytics with data warehousing and data engineering and data science. It has real-time intelligence for everything that is coming from sensors, for telemetry, from devices. And it has Power BI. You know Power BI, I don't have to explain what it is. And then you have the youngest member of the family, the databases. Okay, and we'll spend some time on that one as well. Super, super excited about the databases. All sitting on a common platform of AI, common platform for governance, and OneLake. And we're going to, the hallmark of everything that we're doing is integration, unification, and we've been providing for you guys this environment where everything comes together. You have a place where you have workspaces, where you run the project. You have the task flows that give you rails for running the structure and the architecture of everything that you do. And then you have, of course, the Copilot in every experience to really accelerate your work. And this is great, because if you come from Power BI, this all makes sense. It's kind of massively empowering, low code, almost all over the place. You can build so much. It's such a democratizing platform. But if you come from the IT side of the house, you're a data professional, data engineer, application developer, well, you told us that you want more capabilities that are oriented to the professional developer, a professional developer platform. So I'm going to share with you a bunch of announcements, a bunch of new capabilities that we are adding into the platform. And we start with service principals. You guys wanted service principal, generally available today. is service principal for GitHub and GitHub APIs. Generally available are the service principal working with the development pipeline API. So you want to automate the deployment, you want to make the CI/CD. Service principal is now available, generally available. That's one. Another thing that we made generally available, another big request, was the ability to deploy with Terraform. That's another one that is just generally available. And then we go to the things that you haven't seen yet, most of you, okay? So we are now incredibly excited that in public preview we have variable libraries. Now, what are variable libraries? You can guess what they are, right? It's the ability to define variable that can change from settings, variable that can change from one environment to another environment to another environment. So you can have, one set of settings for dev, another set of settings for test, another set for production, and we'll see more of that. The other thing we told us as a professionals, say we don't want to have the same code showing again and again and again. We want to be able to have code reusability. So we are incredibly excited to introduce the user data functions. And the user data functions allow you to create functions in code in the favorite language, could be C#, could be Python, and then call them from all over Fabric. And outside of Fabric, it's a SaaS version of Azure Functions. It's pretty incredible. We'll see more of that. And lastly, maybe my favorite one of this bunch is the command line interface. So you told us, like, it's one of those weird demos that is like green characters on black screen. It's really, really hard to see what's going on there. But we wanted to make sure that those of you who are professional that say, it's GUI and mouse and click and drag, it's just for wussies, and real developers really want to just use a keyboard, that we give you a command line. And what's cool about it is we kind of looked at the command lines available out there, and we realized that the closest one that we can imagine is the command line of an operating system. Where operating system, you use the command line of Windows, you use the command line of Linux, you know how to work with them. So look, we can actually look at Fabric through the lens of an operating system. So everything you do is commands that you already know. So if you want to look at the list of workspaces, if you come from Windows, you can do dir. If you come from Linux, you can do ls. And then you want to create a new workspace. It's just a make dir. And you make dir by workspace.workspace. You have a new workspace. And you can cd into the workspace and do another dir or ls. And then create a lakehouse by make dir lakehouse.lakehouse. So you know the command line interface before even opening the documentation, because you use Linux, you use Windows, you know it already. It's super cool. You can schedule jobs, you can monitor, you can put those command lines as scripts, you can put them as part of GitHub Actions. It's incredible. So really, really excited about the command line interface. What do you guys think? Now, let's move on to the workloads. And we have all these cool workloads. We're going to go one by one. We're going to start with analytics. The analytics, as we said, is the world of data warehousing, data engineering, data science. And especially when it comes to the data warehousing, this is where we made massive, massive progress. Like, we started with the fresh, newest data warehouse in the market a year ago. It was a brand new MPP architecture, separation of storage and compute, all auto-optimizing. There are almost no knobs to play with. It's the most modern data warehouse in the market. And as a new data warehouse, sometimes it has the initial kinks, but we made massive progress over the last year. And to show us what's new with the data warehouse, I'm going to invite my friend Charles Webb to the stage. Hey, Charles.
What's going on, Amir?
It's been quite a year with data warehousing, right? Absolutely. So a lot of progress.
Yeah, we've been really, really busy working on the data warehouse. And it really starts with all of you. Behind the scenes, we've been working on shipping over 100 of your ideas. And that means we've mined Reddit, we've mined Fabric Ideas, we've mined even X, RIP Twitter, just to make sure that the things that are most important to you, we've shipped.
So a lot of you have been using the data warehouse. We have 15,000 customers who have been using the data warehouse. And one of the things that they love the most is the experiences that we have in the data warehouse.
Absolutely. We've been really working hard to make the data warehouse experiences the most intelligent warehouse out there.
Do you want to show us something?
Let's take a look. So here we are in the data warehouse experience. And you're going to notice unified experiences for everything from ETL with no code and pro code, queries with, again, no code and pro code, modeling, because BI and AI is not an afterthought, and of course your favorite tools like VS Code and SSMS. We've also got Copilot built in, and it's infused everywhere within the editor. So let's take a look. Let's write a query. I'm going to leave a comment here, Amir, and you can see as I start typing code, you're going to see intelligent completions just at work.
And this is great. Even if you are an expert developer, it just saves so much time.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite features as a SQL developer. But it gets better. We also have these live templates. And so as I type code, what you're going to see is, even if I'm coming from a different data warehouse, it's easy to write SQL here. And you can see how it easily helps me pre-fill all of the syntax needed to deliver SQL queries. And check out this performance, blazing fast.
It's really, really fast. Now, Copilot.
One of my favorite features of the data warehouse is also when I want to analyze data and ask questions and figure out what kind of insights I can gather. Copilot allows me to brainstorm very easily, and not only does it generate SQL queries for me, but these SQL queries are things that I can now run. And the best part about it is it walks me through all of the way that it's thinking so that that business logic, I can make sure that it's something that I can trust. Now, it gets better, Amir. It gets better. I can also get all the power of the Power BI, clicky, draggy, droppy, and just a button click. So check out this chart and visualization I can create in seconds.
So just instantly, out of the result of the query, you can go build the reports, share them.
Super easy, super easy.
That's awesome.
Now, a lot of developers also like notebooks, okay?
Yes.
And we, of course, support notebooks. So I can easily develop and write SQL here as well. And you can see I can also chart my data too. But because all the data in the data warehouse is powered and sits on top of one lake, that also means I can switch compute engines. So if I need to do data engineering, if I need Spark, if I need Python, if I need R, it's right there at my fingertips.
You know, one of the things I love about everything that is happening here, it's all built on the same language. I joined Microsoft 28 years ago. I joined the SQL Server organization when it was still SQL Server. And everything was built around T-SQL. And we have millions and millions of people who know T-SQL already. And just the transition to move to this fresh new data warehouse is so easy because of the T-SQL knowledge that they have.
Absolutely. I love that quote from EQ Bank, just because when you think about the era of AI, a lot of organizations are trying to figure out how do they accelerate and innovate, how do they modernize, and with SQL and a data warehouse, you're already there. You already have all the skills you need to develop and do more with data.
So a lot of you have the Synapse Gen 2 data warehouse in Azure, and we're looking kind of a little bit with envy about what's happening in Fabric with the data warehouse, and say, yeah, how do I transition? And we will be working on that. We have some new innovation and now their announcements.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to announce that for Synapse customers, starting with Synapse customers, we're announcing a seamless migration experience. And this is really going to allow you to migrate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm super excited about this because for our Synapse customers, our past data warehouse customers, we're moving you to the SaaS capabilities and we're just getting started. Let's take a look.
Okay, let's take a look.
So starting today, you're going to have a new migrate button in your workspace. And you're going to see a number of different items there, offline options, but you can also see a card for Synapse Analytics. And what you're going to be able to do is migrate your code first and your data. And it's pretty simple. All you have to do is connect to your data, select the objects or the schemas that you care about, and then you have to validate a few things. Maybe you want to see the different objects, you want to preview the data, but at the end of the day, you're going to validate your connections, and you're going to click migrate metadata. And that's it. Behind the scenes, we're going to apply best practices and already move your code. And see, Amir, that was pretty quick.
And there's a bunch of AI that actually makes sure that the code transitions correctly.
100%. And it gets better. Suppose there's a few things that I need to fix. I'm not on my own. You can see here, this preview suggested fix is going to give me a diff view. And what I'm going to be able to do is now see my original code and the new suggested code from Copilot. So now it makes it easy for me to work through any issues that might arise. And it gets even more magical. Once I accept this, what you're going to see is the Copilot's going to work. I'm going to run this query. And we're going to validate that that query was the right thing to run. We're going to work through all those dependencies, automatically fix those up. And you can see how magical that is. We went from 8 issues down to 7. And I can keep working through this experience in a really intelligent way.
So all the views, all the stored procedures are passing. What about the data?
Great question. So once you've migrated all of your code, the next step is, of course, to copy the data. And this is, again, where we have an intelligent experience, folks. So you can do it yourself or with an assistant. I love the assistant because it makes it easy. You have automatically mapped types for you. So it makes it easy to say, OK, I'm moving from Synapse to Fabric, but it gets better. You can do a full copy or incremental copy. And there's intelligence built in to make this a breeze. So all I have to do is click on Create. And we're going to now start a copy job behind the scenes to make your data movement a breeze.
That's awesome. Now, all the data gets moved, and then we have all these applications that we're connecting to the old data warehouse. What happened to them?
So traditionally, a cutover is quite difficult, but for us, what we've done is we've built in both guidance and, again, intelligence. So if you choose reroute with an assistant, it's kind of a magical experience, Amir. We're going to click on this button, and we're going to reroute all those synapse.database.net connections to Fabric.
So there is no there's no change needed in any of the existing application to connect to the new data warehouse, because they connect to the old data warehouse, they're getting rerouted to the new data warehouse automatically.
Absolutely.
This is quite incredible. Yeah. To be very honest, when Charles told me he's going to do a migration demo, I thought that's kind of boring. It's not going to, but it's so exciting.
Yeah.
And it's not just it's not just looking great, it's not just kind of magical, but it's also very, very practical, actually working in the real world.
I really love this quote from Kantar because they tried this during the private preview. And one of the things they thought about was, hey, a migration typically takes years and months. And they set a really ambitious goal. Can we migrate in a quarter? And they tried our tool, and they're able to migrate their scripts, 700 of them, thousands of lines of code, in less than an hour. And that's pretty powerful stuff, but I just love this quote because migrations can be easier. They can be much more simple, and we're really excited to give it all to you folks.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Charles.
Thank you.
So we talk about data warehousing. Let's continue to data engineering. This is the world of Spark and notebooks and Python. This is the world where it's been exploding. There's so much going on. And to show all the cool stuff that we're doing, I'm going to invite my friend Justina to the stage. Hey, Justina.
Amir, hi, everyone.
So it's been an incredible year for everything we're doing in data engineering.
Yes, it's absolutely been an amazing year. We've just seen phenomenal growth. With our Spark compute, it has grown 50x since this time last year. And we've, of course, been working on our performance with our native engine. You can expect performance to be 400% faster than open source Spark. And we don't just focus on performance, right? We also focus on price performance. And so you can see with our offering, it is 2.5 times more cost-effective than other alternatives in the market.
So there is no better system, there is no more cost-effective data engineering system out there than the one you have in Fabric. It's quite incredible. And don't just trust me. We have people who will testify to that.
Yes, absolutely. So we've been working closely with LSEG, the London Stock Exchange Group, and they've been using Fabric and Spark to bring in all of their disparate data sources, right? Everything from on-prem across multiple different clouds. They've been starting working with Fabric and Spark to bring that data, transform it, and share it out. And if you want to learn more about what the London Stock Exchange Group are doing, make sure you join Phil's session tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
And the key tool for the trade here is the notebook. And what's really cool about the notebooks is they're really bringing together the best of Fabric.
Yes, exactly. We've been kind of focusing on making the notebook the central hub, connecting to different items, languages, data sources. And maybe to see some of the latest enhancements, let's jump into the demo. So over here, I'm in my notebook, and I want to work with the same data warehouse that Charles was working with. But I'm personally more of a Python user myself, right? So we're there in our Python notebook, but you're going to see this new T-SQL magic command I can add. And what that lets me do is it just lets me insert a T-SQL code cell in the middle of my Python notebook. So you can see I'm just writing a normal warehouse query, but you're going to see something really cool here, Amir. You're going to see this bind data frame command. And what this lets me do is it lets me store that result set from the warehouse in a Python data frame.
So now my Python script can access the result over here directly.
Exactly. So now I have the full power of Python directly here with this result from the warehouse. So I want to do some customer segmentation modeling. So for that, I'm going to go and create myself a couple of parameters, such as recency and frequency. And the great news is one of my colleagues has already written the code for the customer segment. And the even better news is they stored in a user data function. Right?
User data function, that's going to be, I announced this one, right?
You did, I think you did just announce this one. So here's my beautiful user data function. You can see it takes in a number of different inputs. It's doing a bunch of this segmentation logic. It provides an output. And these are just awesome for just defining this reusable code I can just use everywhere. And what I really love about these as well is I can just test them out directly in line in this experience. So if I was to just input some recency and frequency data over here, I could just run it and test it out.
So this is just sassified functions, so easy. Exactly. Anybody can create those. And I can use them outside the Fabric as well.
Yes, exactly. They come with an endpoint that I can call from anywhere, including notebooks as well.
So you can call a REST endpoint from outside the Fabric, but in notebooks it gets even better.
Yes, of course. So we wanted to make this even better than calling just a REST endpoint. We've integrated it with our notebook utils over here. So you can see I can just scan through and use IntelliSense to choose the function I want to use. And I can now create myself a function object that I can just leverage. So then in a single line of code, I can basically call this function with all of the different parameters I've just defined. And in a couple of seconds, there it is. That's how easy it is to integrate.
What do you guys think? It's pretty cool, right?
Thank you.
Now,
All right.
What about all these parameters that you had for those?
Yes, and I think you might have announced something that was pretty useful for that. Of course, that is the variable library, and this is probably one of my own personal favorite announcements from this keynote. With the variable library, I'm basically able to just go ahead and define all of the parameters I need to use. You can see I've already created one over here. And the great thing here is I've got my default value set, but I've also got my alternative test and prod set. So what does that mean? Now when I go and deploy this across dev, test, prod, these values are all just going to update automatically. So I'm going to define one more parameter over here for recency. You can see just how easy that experience is. I'm going to go and say this is an integer. I'm going to add a default value over here. And I'm just going to override the test and prod sets. So again, once these deploy, all of these will just automatically update.
So no more hard-coded values in the notebook. You can actually put it all in the library.
Yes.
And to use them is a breeze in the notebook.
Exactly. So it's going to be very similar to just what you just saw of the user data functions. I'm going to go and create myself a variables object. And then I'm going to go and update these parameters from being hard-coded to dynamic. And take a look at this. Again, I get just beautiful IntelliSense, so I can actually browse through my variable library, just select which parameter I want to add. It is that easy to use. OK, so now we're going to run this. And again, it's just going to automatically, thank you. All right, so I've done all of this great processing, and I want to get this data back into my warehouse now. So I'm going to add one step, which is just going to convert those customer segments I've calculated into a JSON object. And now take a look what I'm going to do over here. Inside my notebook cell, I'm going to go ahead and actually define data warehousing transactions. So I'm going to go and create this new segment column. I'm going to add the data I just went and processed with Python directly back into my warehouse, a whole bunch of other steps. And it's really marrying that ACID transactions of the enterprise data warehouse with the full flexibility and programmability of Python.
So we're going to see a lot of data warehouse being maintained through notebooks, getting all the value of the combination of the power of the T-SQL and the power of Python with the ability to monitor them very nicely with the monitoring tool that we have for notebooks. It's going to be incredible. Yeah. Now, all of that is, we haven't seen much of the Copilot, but we've been continuing to work on Copilot in the notebook.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're looking at this, you're a little bit worried, like, hey, I don't really work with notebooks. Well, Copilot is here to help you out, along with a whole bunch of new updates coming to it in public preview today. So this includes the in-cell Copilot experience for ease of use, a bunch of quick actions such as debugging, optimizing, explaining your code, and best of all, no more installation step. Yes.
Yeah,
I thought some of you might like that.
I learned how to code in Python just using the Copilot. It's so cool. Now, there's one more announcement we have, right? Because we have something new that you guys may be familiar with from databases. You know about views in databases, your ability to define a query that is stored in the database, and then you can run it and call it in your queries as if it was a table, kind of a logical query. And then you have in the database the ability sometimes to materialize the view. So the view is not computed when you call it, but computed ahead of time. And we're going to do the same thing with Spark and the Lake.
Absolutely. We're bringing materialized views to Spark, to the Lake House. A whole bunch of goodness, a lot of exciting features over here. So why don't we just jump straight in and take a look what this experience is going to look like. OK, so we're starting out inside our lakehouse. And you can see I've already defined my bronze layers over here. And I want to go and build out my silver and gold layers using these new materialized views. So I'm going to jump into a notebook. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create my silver schema. Right? So we're going to go and define that. And as the next step, we're actually going to start building out these materialized views in the notebook. And there's one really exciting feature that's coming to these materialized views, which is the ability to define data quality constraints. So I can go over here and say, hey, if my sales quantity column is null, go and drop those rows, right? I can start defining these different types of rules.
So data quality is just built into Spark, into Fabric.
Exactly. And I can define things like nulls or failures. So I'm going to go and define the rest of this materialized view over here. I'm going to basically be doing a bunch of joins in my bronze layer. And let's fast forward now. You can see I built out a pretty complex notebook. It's gone and defined a lot of views that are built on top of other views that are built on top of tables. And you can see, basically, I'm going to go and run this ahead of time.
But it's really important to run them in the right order. All these views to materialize them in the right order because they depend one on another.
Yes, exactly. And so this is where our beautiful management portal for materialized views comes in. Now you can see this beautiful diagram. I didn't have to go and configure it or do anything. This is just defined declaratively. It is provided out of the box. And I can see how all of these different views are defined. You can see it updating in real time. Did you see that box just went green? That means that step has succeeded. It has finished running. I can jump in. I can see all the details, just how long it took to run, when did it complete, all of the details I need. So we're going to keep running this, we're going to keep monitoring to it, and we can see that the next tab has actually turned red, which means a failure has occurred. So again, I can just jump into this, I can see exactly what went wrong, the error messages right there in line, and in this case, I can actually see that one of our quality constraints got violated, and I configured it to fail if that was the case. Now, we're going to fast forward a little bit here as well. I've gone ahead and fixed my issue, and now we can see everything is succeeding, all the steps look green, all the steps have completed. So the last step, let's go ahead and actually jump into our lakehouse. You can see our silver and gold layers here. And the best thing is, from a user perspective, these just look like Delta tables.
It's more than just look like Delta tables. These are Delta tables, which means now everything works. You can run SQL queries on top of those. You can do the Power BI Direct Lake on top of that. Everything works.
Exactly. Everything just works end to end.
So materialized views are coming to Fabric, to Spark, and one more announcement.
Yes, one more announcement we're going to do. So I'm really, really excited to announce that auto-scale billing for Spark is coming. It is out in public preview as of today. So all those notebooks you just saw me running, they can all run with this new billing model. What does that mean? You are billed for what you use with auto-scale up, auto-scale down, which is great for this kind of Spark spiky workloads that you may have.
So the most affordable, the most cost-effective Spark platform on the market just became even more cost-effective there, I guess, right? So thank you so much, Justina.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amir. Have a great conference.
Now, we're going to continue. We're going to move to the really one of the most surprise stars that we have in Fabric, which is the real-time intelligence. We did not expect to see the reaction that we're getting from you guys and the adoption we're getting from you guys for real-time intelligence. Real-time intelligence is all about working with real-time data. Data that is coming from sensors, from telemetry, from devices. We have all the tools that allows you to find all those streams of data from wherever they have, like a single catalog with the real-time hub. Massive technology allows you to process the data as it comes on the fly with the event stream. Event House, it's just absolutely magical place to store real-time data, to analyze semi-structured data, time series, at massive, massive scale. And the data activator, which allows you to define condition when things are happening, to say, hey, when this kind of thing happens, I want to take action automatically on top of that. And to talk to us more and explain what's new with our real-time intelligence, I'm going to invite Tessa on stage. Hey, Tessa.
Hi, good to see you.
So, Tessa, real-time intelligence, this is it. We have a massive, massive platform behind it, right?
We do, yeah. This technology is built on top of planet-scale infrastructure. So we're talking about managing 10 exabytes of events and logs per month, doing 5.1 billion real-time queries per day, and doing this all at over 5 nines reliability. It's amazing.
So basically, every cloud service of Microsoft, every service you have in Azure, every service we have in M365, all the telemetry, exabytes of data, every day coming in, they're all being hosted on this platform.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just inside of Microsoft. You guys in Fabric, we've been seeing a massive adoption of the real-time intelligence.
Exactly. Real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric is really just taking off, as you said. Even though we just GA'd in November, we have already 8,900 active customers, and we have 360% year-over-year growth. The response has just been amazing.
And when we see that, you know, the growth, we typically look, who's using it? It's typically companies that have mission-critical infrastructure, mission-critical operations. It could be utility companies. It could be, you know, transportation hubs.
Yeah, really anything. We see customers across every single industry. One great example is Melbourne Airport. Many of us probably took an airline to get here today, and we all know how important real-time and efficient operations are for those types of businesses. And so Melbourne Airport has had some great success with real-time intelligence, really helping optimizing their operations and just having an overall better experience for their customers.
So do you want to show us a little bit of what's going on there, how you optimize operations with real-time intelligence?
Yeah, let's see real-time intelligence in action. And in this case, it's going to be at a major sustainability company. So I'm going to play the role of a data engineer, and I'm going to start here in the real-time hub. And what's so amazing about the real-time hub is I can see all of the different data streams coming in from across my organization all in one place. I can easily manage, discover, and take action right from this view. And if I don't see the source I'm looking for, we make it extremely easy for you to find and connect to it. So here you can see we have a wide range of sources across Microsoft and cross-cloud. We have Apache Kafka, Amazon Kinesis, Google PubSub, and more. And really, we just keep this list growing.
And we've been hearing all of you. You wanted even more sources for streaming data, and we've been adding more.
We have been, yes. So thanks to this audience, we've been adding more and more connectors. We're excited to announce 5 new connectors this week, including public data feeds and MQTT. And with that data streaming in, I can use event streams to really process and route it in real time. And coming soon, you can use the new SQL code transform to route it using a language I'm familiar with on the fly, and ultimately get it to any destination that I need. In this case, I'm landing it in Event House, which is that perfect location for the high volume, high granularity data that helps me query petabytes of data in seconds. And what's even more powerful, I can actually use it to connect to data across my whole system in one lake, bringing together my information technology, operation technology, and engineering technology, or IT, OT, and ET data all in one place, helping me find correlated insights across all my data estate, both in fast and affordable queries.
This is quite incredible, right? Now, you have all the, first of all, if you haven't tried the Event House, you have to try the Event House, even if you don't have sensors or devices, because you can actually use the technology of the Event House to work on top of every piece of data you have in one lake and get massive query acceleration on top of that. Number one. Number two, what you have here is you have the volume of data you can handle. We had a couple of months ago McLaren on stage here, and these guys were analyzing 10 trillion points of data from their hypercars. You know McLaren with the F1 stuff, you know? They've been 10 trillion points of data from the car at seconds, slicing and dicing with this technology. It's just remarkable. Now, all this data, all these sensors coming into the Event House, but we needed a way to really associate it with the real-time object, whether they're the cars or the trucks or the planes or the gateways, everything. And we really need, or the wind turbine in your company, right?
Yep.
So we need a way to really associate and model, kind of create a semantic model of the real-world objects inside the Fabric to create a relationship with streams of data and the data that we have in Fabric, and the real-world objects. So this is where we are introducing, and we're going to show a sneak peek of the digital twin builder.
Yes, exactly. We're very excited to show you all a sneak peek of the new digital twin builder, because all that information is really helpful, but it's really lacking that context to the information about the actual physical items and how the system works together. And so with the new digital twin builder, we can do just that, and let's see it in action. So here you can see that we have the physical operations of my wind turbine and wind farm modeled as an ontology. And here I can actually see all of the different entities and the relationships as they work together. So I can see, for example, the wind turbine has a gearbox, it has a rotor, it has the turbine blades, and all of these pieces have different properties and the relationships that connects them. And so as the data is actually emitted from my physical devices, it's come in and mapped into this
You can associate the streams with each one of the components of the wind turbine.
With each one of them, and multiple, you can bring it all together into one view. So I can see the wind turbines connected to the broader wind power plant and how all of these pieces are connected together. And all of this data ultimately lands, of course, in one lake. And so it allows me to take all of this personalized, contextualized information and bring it into things like a real-time operations dashboard. So back at the turbine, the wind operations, we have our technician here seeing the data coming in real time. They can see anomalies as they come through. And with the help of the digital twin builder now, they can actually go down and see the individual fault codes and understand exactly what's happening.
So the real documentation of the wind turbine is in the product.
Is directly here, and then also with the power of Activator, we can immediately set alerts, and so the whole team is notified on issues before they get even worse. And so with real-time intelligence now, we have, the real-time insights, we have AI-powered insights, and with the new sneak peek of Digital Twin Builder, it really helps organizations improve their operations.
So Digital Twin joined the family of real-time intelligence. Thank you so much, Tessa. Really exciting. Okay. So let's move on to the next pillar in our vision, which is the open and AI-ready data lake. This is the world of OneLake. And if you're here, you know what OneLake is. It's a one place for all your data for the entire organization, and infinitely scalable, planetly deployed. All the data from all the workloads, every piece of data has been generated, is stored in OneLake in an open format. Data can be shared without having to export, import, move. It just, it has a, will handle your lineage, will handle the PII detection, will handle everything in it. It's a SaaS data lake. It's pretty incredible. We've seen amazing, amazing, amazing momentum around OneLake. All of you have been adopting it in an incredible way. So just give you a little bit of stats here. We've seen 3 million shortcuts already being created. Every 15 weeks, you guys double the volume of data in OneLake. It's just unbelievable. Now you may ask, how does the data get into OneLake? Well, we have a bunch of techniques. The first one is through the data factory. And the data factory is the stack that allows you to connect to any data source, create pipelines, do the data transformation, and to show us what's new with our data integration and data factory technologies. I'm going to have Shireen join me on stage. Hey, Shireen.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning.
So we have tens of millions of users that are using our data integration.
That is correct.
And the growth has been remarkable.
Extremely remarkable. And I want to take a moment to reflect on the usage so far. So our platform processes 705 trillion rows of data per month, orchestrates 18 billion orchestration runs per month as well, and moves 430 petabytes of data. And these numbers are only accelerating. And this scale is a testament to the impact that we're all driving together.
And one of the things that I've been hearing is not only that they use it a lot, but they also want to see more professional enhancement. I hear from you guys say, hey, we don't want to have any hard-coded values in our notebooks and our pipelines and our data flows. We don't want to be able to store secret there. We want to keep the secret somewhere else. We don't want hard connections. And we've been working on really making everyking dynamic and integrating with all the goodness of the secret management.
Yep, you hit the nail right on the head, Amir. So especially when you're building scalable solutions, having those hard-coded values are extremely cumbersome and difficult to scale. So today I'm excited to introduce parameterization across Fabric that allows you to bring dynamic data ingestion, exactly, really exciting, and seamless adaptability across environments. So let's take a look to see how this works in Fabric. So the first feature I want to highlight specifically is connecting to the data for an Azure Key Vault. So let's run the video really quickly. There you go. So we're going to pull secret credentials directly from Azure Key Vault. And I already have a connection to my Azure Key Vault here. And I have an Azure Blob Storage connection that requires an access key. So instead of hard-coding that value specifically, I'll go to my connection settings and see that key icon right there. All I have to do, super easy. All I have to do is reference the Key Vault, set my secret value, and that's it. Now we can bring in secure values directly into Fabric. Really exciting.
Yes.
Yes. So now let's go to my pipeline. We have more things to show you. So this is my medallion architecture right over here, and I'm bringing my products orders through the medallion architecture at petabyte scale. So a common thing that we see, especially with dynamic pipelines, is having those dynamic inputs as we're going through environments. So over here, I have a parameter set that references my Azure SQL database connection. And if I go to my copy activity, I have a new thing underneath connection setting, which is dynamic context. So I can reference that parameter through the pipeline expression builder, and that's basically it. Now my connections are fully dynamic and easily scalable.
And integrated with the variable library.
And yeah, exactly what Justina showed, through in different environments, to my test, production, and development environments as well. So it doesn't just end there, right? So I have a data flow activity here as well. So let me open up my data flow and see how we can use parameterization to make these even more powerful. So in my data flow, I have my transformation that I'm using through my products orders, and I want to group it by region specifically. So my ultimate goal is to have region-specific tables in my Azure SQL database, and instead of once again hard-coding these values, I can use parameterization. So I have a parameter here, which I've defined, which is set for region, and the default value is Eastern. So my query right now defaults everything to the Eastern region, and through that filter icon in my query, I can see that I'm using dynamic input through my entire query, and I'm landing everything in my SQL database. So now before I head back to my pipeline, I have another really exciting feature to announce today and that is saving a data flow without automatically publishing or refreshing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and we know you'll all be asking for this one for years. It's here now.
It's here now, exactly. So now let me go back to my pipeline and see how I can use that region parameter in my pipeline. So if I go to my data flow activity and configure it, I'll see a new section underneath there that you can configure my parameters. So I'll have a separate new parameter for my region, and I'll select the metadata from my metadata activity. So now every single time this activity goes to my for each loop, which is around 4 times for each of my regions, which is Eastern, Southern, and Western, and Northern, which I forgot. Now when I run the pipeline, I'll see those inputs directly here. So the first is Eastern, which is my default value. I have Southern, I have Northern, I have Western. And if I go to my SQL database, I can verify that those 4 tables have dynamically been inputted in. So I didn't have to hard code anything. Everything was done through my pipeline through parameters.
Yeah, so this is just make everything so much easier to create partition data processing. So you can have 100%. Smaller chunks running in parallel. It's just such an incredible
no more
way.
static connections, no more static values either.
So a lot of people are using it. For example, we have Bayer.
Yeah, we have Bayer, who is extremely excited about our parameterization features. And they use Data Factory specifically for their citizen developers to bring that data directly in through environments and use it in a self-service manner for insights. So we're really excited to work with Bayer and other customers to leverage the potential of parameterization across many different data solutions.
So bringing data through pipelines and data flows is one way to get the OneLake populated.
Correct.
But there are other ways that really makes OneLake so unique. And the first one is the shortcuts. And you guys have been using shortcuts, and we're constantly extending the reach of shortcuts. So if you have data stored in other clouds or in Azure, on premises, in storage systems like NetApps, you can just shortcut without any data movement, data duplication. Now OneLake, instead of you bringing the data to OneLake comes to your data, which is quite incredible. The other mechanism we have for data that is locked behind proprietary formats, typically in databases, is the mirroring, right?
Exactly.
And mirroring is just as simple as shortcut, it just works differently. Instead of pointing data that is stored in open systems, we point to a database, and then we replicate the database into OneLake in an open format now.
Yeah.
And then we maintain the database in OneLake at real time using the CDC feed of the database. And it's so simple, near real-time updates, and it's completely free. You don't pay for the storage for that. You don't pay for the replica. You don't pay for the maintenance. It's all in the house forever, which is, people absolutely love it. But then they say, we want more. We want more sources.
We want more. But before we get to sources, I have a customer I want to highlight, right? So we have AP Pension, who's using our mirroring features extensively. And they basically streamline their entire data replication process using sources like Azure SQL Database, Cosmos DB. And you no longer have to build those complex ETL pipelines. And you can get your data in near real-time replication, and you can use that directly for insights as well. So we're excited to work with AP Pension and other customers to streamline their data replication processes through mirroring.
And AP Pension also told us, we love it, we want more.
Exactly.
More data sources. So we have some announcements.
We do. So right now we have 2 sources generally available, and we have 3 other sources in public preview today. But we have one more source that we're announcing as in public preview, and that is mirroring for Azure PostgreSQL. So we've heard this countless amount of times to customers, and we're excited to introduce this other source in public preview too.
Now, the other thing you'll be telling us, it's great, mirroring is a great idea, but since so many of databases are locked behind virtual network firewalls, you guys have to support the ability to go get these databases even when they're protected by those virtual networks.
Yeah, a private link or a virtual network. So with that in mind, today I'm thrilled to introduce that we now support mirroring sources behind a firewall or a private link. Exactly. So now you can use that same on-premises data gateway, that virtual data network gateway, and use sources like Snowflake, Azure SQL Database, and SQL MI to bring that data behind a firewall into OneLake. And we don't just end there, right? So mirroring now, our promise to you guys is that we're going to support replicating data behind a firewall for all of our sources in the upcoming future. So stay tuned, because we have more coming.
Now, even more sources are coming. We are still busy working, getting even more. So we want to share with you a little bit of the roadmap here.
Yeah, so you saw that previous screen, right? So now in the next upcoming months, you'll see connectivity to sources for Azure SQL Server. Yep, SQL Server 2025. Oracle, and these three use that same on-premises data gateway to replicate your data into OneLake, and we also have supportability for mirroring for Dataverse.
And a lot of you are using Dataverse because you use Power Apps, you use Dynamics 365. So Dataverse is going to be kind of an item, a mirroring item in Fabric. We're working on that. You're going to hear in the next few weeks more news about that.
Exactly.
In Oracle, well, Oracle kind of, for me, it's a lot of memories. I joined Microsoft, part of the SQL Server organization, and the #1 competitors we had was Oracle for many, many years. And now we are really excited to have the #1 data source for mirroring that you have been requested joining the family of mirroring.
Yeah.
And then we take a look how it's going to
Yeah, let's take a look at how this actually looks in Fabric, okay? So let's go ahead and play the video. So right when I go into Fabric, I'll create a new art item, and just as how other sources show up for mirroring, you'll see a tile for mirroring for Oracle show up here as well. So I'll go ahead and click on it, and immediately I can either select an existing source connection or a new one. So I'll go ahead and select a new one, and directly here you'll see the source for selecting an on-premises data gateway. So I'll select my on-premises gateway, and I'll proceed. So right over here, by automatically, all my tables are replicated in my Oracle database, but I can go ahead and filter, select a few tables. So in this case, I'll go ahead and filter, select 5 tables I want to bring in and part of my product sales, and I can see a preview of it on the right-hand side. And after giving my data destination table a name, that's basically it. The replication process begins with just a few simple clicks, just like how our other sources are replicated over too.
And that's it. You basically
that's it.
you don't need to create any ETL pipeline. You do that, and the data just gets ingested, and then you can use it anywhere.
Exactly. So in a few seconds, you'll see that all my tables have been replicated over. I can see the rows that have been replicating, the time that has been modified as well. And on top of that, if I'm really, really curious, I want to look at my data and see what's happening, I can go to my SQL Analytics endpoint and query it directly over here too. But in this case, I'm just making sure I verify that all my tables have landed, and I can see that my customers one has landed over here as well. But now, of course, Amir, we have change data that is happening, those inserts, those updates, those deletes. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my Oracle database, insert 5 rows to my table, and I'll verify that those rows have been replicated over. So now if I go back to Fabric, I can go to that monitor view, or I can go to my SQL Analytics endpoint. And in this case, I'm just going to query the rows, right? The customers table had about 103 rows, and I added 5 more, so it should return 108. And in this case, it automatically did. And this was all in near real time.
It's really real time. You don't have to do anything. No scheduling, no ETL packages. Just your Oracle data is automatically mirrored into OneLake. This is quite incredible. Thank you so much, Irene. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Amir. Thank you, everyone.
So you see, we want to make sure that OneLake works with all the data in the world. You see us working with the Oracle database. We want to make sure that we work with all of our partners and all of our competitors at the same time. So one of the things we've done a year ago, at the Build conference last year, so less than a year ago, we announced that we are going to work with Snowflake. And we're going to work together to make sure that the best of Snowflake and the best of OneLake will come together. And I'm delighted to have here Chris Child from Snowflake, Vice President of Product from Snowflake. And I want to tell a little bit about Chris, about the work that we, Snowflake and Fabric and teams have been doing together in order to really bring the best of data, no matter what platform.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Amir, thank you for having me here. It's great to be joining everyone. And we, at Snowflake, we're really excited about helping tear down data silos, help everyone get value out of their data, and really make better decisions with it. And it's very similar to what you guys are building at Fabric. But one of the things that we found is there were still silos of data. We just talked a bunch about mirroring and copying data. And a big part of the philosophy that we both share is you shouldn't have to move your data. You shouldn't have to make copies. And so with Apache Iceberg, we have found a way to work together to make sure that your data in OneLake and your data in Snowflake can seamlessly be used in both platforms at the same time without making copies and without having to move any data.
And so and this is pretty amazing, right? So we've been working and we've been adopting Iceberg throughout Fabric. So every table that you have there as data table in Fabric can be viewed as Iceberg table. And you can use it in Snowflake, right? And we make the other way around. Every table that you have in Iceberg in Snowflake can use a Delta table in Fabric. So this interop just really works together.
And this is really the power that we see from open formats and open data like Apache Iceberg. It means that all the work that we're doing in Snowflake to give incredible performance and security and collaboration on top of Iceberg data supports all of the data that you have in OneLake and vice versa. Your data doesn't have to move, and you can get value out of it wherever it happens to sit.
So we made a lot of progress already. So we already have the ability of Snowflake to write into OneLake. We have the ability of Fabric to read the iceberg table of Snowflake, and we're doing more work.
And so soon we'll be launching deeply integrated even into both of the UIs in OneLake and in Snowflake. So you'll be able to go directly into Snowflake and with a few clicks, bring your data into OneLake, and in OneLake you'll be able to come in, see your Snowflake data directly in the UI and all your explorers in a really seamless way.
And you'll be able to get all the delta tables you have in Fabric showing you the iceberg table in Snowflake without any effort.
And you don't have to copy again. No copies, no movement, nothing that you have to do. It all just works. It's really, really amazing.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really a pleasure working with your team. Okay. So we have all the data in OneLake, and we want to make sure that it's governed, it's secure, and this is where I know a lot of feedback we're getting from large organizations saying you have to make sure that everything is there is proper. So we introduced the OneLake catalog. It's the one place where you can find all your data, all your items. It could be not just the data warehouse and event houses and lake houses, but your notebooks and your reports and your pipeline. Everything is there, highly discoverable. You can govern it directly from there. And one of the things that we are incredibly excited to announce is that the same experience is now available also in Excel. So your business users can find all the data in OneLake very, very easily, consume it into Excel in the same governed, secured way. Now, the other thing we want to make sure that the compliance is there. So we've been working on adding certifications all over, and we just hard at work, accumulating more and more certifications. The last one was the PCI DSS certificate, which is needed for the payment industry. But basically, every industry you're in, the governing body that are handling the regulation, we are making sure that you have all the certification you need in order to be compliant in there. And we've been shipping. We've been shipping lots and lots and lots of features for network security, for data security, for governance. I'm not going to go over the list. I do want to talk about two really big ones that we are working on because you've been asking for the roadmap on them, when they can be available. So the first one is relating to the network security, and this is the data exfiltration protection and the privating for workspaces. And so we're going to have in the spring a public preview of the data exfiltration protection. Joining on data security, the customer managed keys for OneLake. Both are going to be in preview this spring, so it's a few weeks away. And in the summer, we're going to get the private links for public workspaces, and both of those in the falls we're going to ship as generally available. So wait, it's coming, a few months away, but we are hard at work and things are looking really, really bright there. And then we have something more. Okay. We have something. I'd like to invite Patrick LeBlanc to the stage to talk a little bit about one more feature that we've been talking about. We've been talking about for a while, Patrick. Since the early days of Fabric, we've been talking about one feature we promised to bring to market, right?
Yes.
And this is?
OneLake security. Right?
Right, OneLake security. So we promised that you, instead of having to secure the data separately in the BI system, in the data warehousing system, in the event house system, we can have one place in OneLake. You can set all the security definition, table level security, column level security, row level security, and the same definition will apply to every workload we have in Fabric.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know, seeing is believing, right?
So enough of all this talking. Let's head over to my laptop, right? So here in my Fabric workspace, you can see I created a beautiful medallion architecture using task flows. I can transform data. I can visualize data. I can even talk with my data and have a natural language conversation. But let's check out my data. So I'm gonna head over to the OneLake catalog, and you can see that I can search for different items. I can look at my items. I can get really granular and look at this by domains and item types.
But I see this red bulb there that seems like a warning light.
Yeah, so there's some restricted data here. And so I find out that I have some sensitive data here. You can see I have my customer financial summary in this lakehouse. And if I take a look at my lineage view, I can see everything that's happening upstream and downstream. But what I'm more concerned about is the permissions. And I notice that I have two culprits here, Adam and Kim. They have gotten access to my lakehouse, Amir, and I need to do some work. And if you see, when I jump over into my lakehouse, you can even see that my data is restricted. And if you take a look at my data,
there's the credit card numbers in there.
I got to get rid of that.
Yes.
I got to get rid of that. Kim cannot see that. Yes. Kim cannot see that. Kim cannot see my credit card information. So I'm going to use OneLake Security, and it's really easy to set up OneLake Security. All you do is you give it a name. You just give it a name, select the data you want, and add the members, Amir. That's it. Once you're done, you see I have created 2 roles. I'm going to set up column level security and row level security. And it's just a few clicks. And so you go into edit, you choose the type of security you want, you find the table, go in and choose the type of security.
And we're going to remove from Kim the ability to see the credit card numbers?
Absolutely. We don't want her to see the credit card numbers. So once I do that with just a few clicks, and then I add her to this role, the next time she accesses this data, she's not going to see it. I'm going to show you, because she's probably going to call before this is over. Okay?
Now, well, we have Adam. Adam should see only these wingtip toys, right?
That's right.
That's the only product line he's allowed to see.
That's only because Adam only plays with toys, right? He doesn't do anything real. And so we go in there wingtip toys, and I will switch over to row level security. And so instead of writing DAX, right? We used to write DAX, but now we've been writing T-SQL how long, Amir? For decades, since the 1900s. And so what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna add Adam to this role, and when Adam signs in, he's only gonna see wingtip toys. And I guarantee both of them are gonna be calling before
This is row level security.
This is row level security, that's right. So let's take a look at the report. This is what it looks like from an admin's perspective.
We can see that.
We can see that, right?
403 rows.
403 rows, all the buying groups,
credit card numbers, we can see the whole thing.
Right, we can see everything. We can see everything.
Adam.
Adam's gonna call us, watch. Just give it like 2 seconds. The phone's gonna start ringing, he's gonna call, and watch what's gonna happen when Adam opens up this Power BI report. He can only see 201 rows.
We eliminated everything.
Yeah, and so I'm on the phone with him, he's like, oh, Patrick, I can only see these rows. I'm like, because that's the only thing you can see. You just play with toys, man, that's all you do. You're a manager now, you don't do anything real. And so, sorry. And so he says, but hey, I used to be technical. I can write a little SQL. So he heads over to the analytics endpoint, and he opens up the analytics endpoint, and he starts writing a query. He only can write a select star because he doesn't know anything else. And so he writes this query, and then if you look in the bottom row, I go, Adam, you're only going to see 200 rows, but he doesn't trust me. And look.
It's still there.
But he still doesn't trust me. He goes, hey, I'm going to add a where clause to this. And I was impressed when he added this where clause because I didn't know he could do this, right? So he added this where clause. He executed the query, and guess what happened? The exact same thing. I say, trust me, Adam. He goes, but Patrick, I'm going to leave Fabric. I'm going to leave Fabric and go into the One Lake Explorer, the OneDrive for data.
Oh, he's sneaky.
He's a sneaky one. Yeah. He's a sneaky one, right? And then when he double clicks this thing, guess what happened? Foiled again, Adam. You can't get to my data. Okay. And so after I got off the phone with Adam, guess who called? Kim. My boss's boss's boss, right? So Kim calls, and Kim's like, hey, I'm in a notebook. I'm like, what are you doing in the notebook, Kim? She goes, I'm writing a select star. Managers love select star. And so she writes this select star, and she runs this query. When she executes a select star, she thought she was going to see credit cards.
There's no credit card.
They're gone. They're gone. She can't see it because Fabric works, One Lake Security works across all workloads. Now, Kim is Power BI. We all know Kim is Power BI. So she heads back to the One Lake catalog, and she goes, hey, I'm going to use Power BI and create some fancy reports. Look at the pivot field list. What do you see?
There is no credit card.
There is no credit card information, Kim. You can keep writing, creating your fancy reports in Power BI. You should write some DAX, but keep writing your fancy reports and everything. But then Kim goes, you know what? I've been doing this a long time too, Patrick. So I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to go to Excel. I'm leaving Fabric just like Adam did. And I said, you're going to get the same result, Kim, just like Adam. What do you see, Amir?
No credit card information.
No credit card information, right? Woo! Just like that.
No diamond ring for Kim. That's it.
That's it. And just like that, I created 2 roles, and I was able to set up security, seriously, that works across every single Fabric workload, inside and outside of Fabric.
So thank you so much, Patrick. The most fun security demo ever. Okay, the youngest member of the Fabric workload family are the databases. We just announced them 3 months ago in the Ignite conference. They have been taking off like a rocket ship. And I really want to give the stage to Shirish Toda, who is Mr. Databases in Microsoft. And,
hi, thank you.
And you take the stage.
All right, well, I'm Shirish Toda. I run operational databases, and I'm excited to be here to be talking about the youngest workload in Fabric. Well, IDC predicts that there are going to be 1 billion apps that are going to be focused on AI for enterprises. I think the number is going to be much, much higher. Our job is to make sure you have the right operational database backing for all these applications. Your developers should be able to exploit the benefits of transactional workloads, build awesome user-defined functions, modern RESTless, headless APIs such as GraphQL, enjoy the frameworks and the tool systems that we already have in GitHub, VS Code, et cetera, et cetera. And you've already seen today, we've walked through many capabilities of Fabric that makes it easy for your data projects to excel with the pre-integrated SaaS environment. With databases now in public preview in Fabric, Fabric is evolving from being an analytics platform into a complete unified data platform. And that's the promise of Fabric databases here. All right, so what does Fabric databases do? It makes your applications easier to build because it has AI-enabled and auto-optimized database engines. We're starting with SQL Server, no less. It's easy to provision a SQL database, and I'm going to show you in a minute. Once you provision, it auto-manages itself. It scales based on your storage and throughput needs. It can monitor itself. It has intelligence built in. If you're aware of some of the features of SQL, things such as intelligent query processing, it knows how to index itself, and it really makes it easy for you to manage any relational application. Plus, your developers will have access to some of the coolest things, such as VS Code extensions, our drivers, libraries, GitHub, Copilots, and much more. One of the coolest things here, you've already seen it today, data seamlessly mirrors into one lake once your operational workload is going. It doesn't impact your transactional workloads. The data just keeps going. Once the data is in one lake, the magic of Fabric kicks up. Now, of course, we're just starting here with SQL. We're not going to stop here. We're, of course, going to do a lot more here. This is an evolving space, so please stay tuned. And one of the coolest things, and perhaps the most gratifying thing for us, is that you've already started embracing SQL databases in Fabric. We've heard from many of you that it simplifies your decision-making, kind of enables you to build projects that were hitherto very difficult to do it, because you really need the operational aspect along with all the coolness that you have seen so far. When all these things come together, magic happens. So naturally, we're thrilled to be welcoming SQL databases into the family of Fabric. Now, SQL, as many of you know, I think a lot of you have started your data projects, a data career with SQL. It works in complex environment. It kind of operates across the clouds, including Azure and any other cloud. Operates in on-premises. It even goes and works on complex environments like Windows, Linux, containers, you name it. There is a project called Arc, Azure Arc, in Azure. It simplifies ability for you to manage your estate, even if it's outside of the cloud, with all the control plane capabilities of Azure. You can bring in all the goodness of Azure services to your estate wherever it is. It could be on-premises. It could be even other clouds. And naturally, we fit in SQL Server into the Azure Arc. By doing so, we're basically letting you enjoy all of the Azure benefits, things such as Entra, Defender, Purview, all that stuff on the data, even when it is not sitting in Azure. And whatever we're doing in the cloud, of course, applies to our on-premises state, applies to our SQL 2025 as well. So one of the biggest announcements we made a few months ago in Ignite, at Ignite in Chicago in 2024 was the release date of SQL Server vNext. We are basically racing towards bringing SQL 2025. Naturally means that it has to happen end of the year. This is in private preview now. Thank you. Well, and the coolest thing here is that the momentum we've been seeing is breathtaking. We've already seen 2x the number of signups for the private preview, more than any other past major release for SQL. So that's really endearing to us. And we're going to work very hard to make sure that we keep our industry-leading capabilities on both security and performance. We're going to automate the credential management, reduce vulnerabilities, and make sure that you have the best TPC workload performances. And of course, SQL 2025 is going to be first-class integrated into Fabric, because mirroring is built into SQL 2025. With that, the data that lands in SQL 2025, of course, will light up and will enable you to go do awesome transanalytical applications in Fabric. Thank you. Now, allow me to run a small demo that shows the power of this awesome SQL database engine in conjunction with the rest of Fabric. Now, before I do that, though, I want to start you by showing how easy it is to create and manage SQL database in Fabric. Let's drill in. All right, so here we have Fabric. I'm just going to give a name of the database. and that's it. You are a full relational database. We have a Copilot, a familiar one that you already know in the context of the database. Type something, it basically converts it into T-SQL, the natural language to T-SQL. You can copy paste into the query editor and execute. That's easy. Now, if you're a professional developer, you want to basically have the modern GraphQL API that's inbuilt in the context of the database. That's possible. You have state-of-the-art source control plugged in inside the database as well. And if you are a traditional database administrator of SQL, you got the roles. Performance summary is built in. You could drill into any of the queries, understand how the queries are doing. It knows how your resources are being exploited, et cetera, right there. And here's the cool thing. Sometimes you may have to do disaster recovery. Restore is built in. You could get access to all the built-in copies of point-in-time restore. You could go ahead and build it really easily. This is what we mean by a SaaS experience. And of course, I haven't shown quite a lot about SQL. I didn't have to because we're not necessarily building a new engine here. It carries the full power of SQL engine that you are familiar with into Fabric. We're not cutting down on any of the surface area. We're basically SaaSifying it, deeply integrating into Fabric so you can envision the entirety of the application. I'm going to show you one example that basically does exactly that. This is an architecture of an insurance company where the claims officer is trying to improve the customer satisfaction. You can imagine a customer basically interacting with the vector application, vector search application. They want to search for their claims and then ask for a review. That review request basically gets picked up by the rest of Fabric. Streaming here, even streams here that gets picked up, conjunction with the data that's mirrored from the operational data in one lake, using AI functions, calls into an AI agent, gets your recommendation into your Power BI dashboard, and that basically helps the claims officer to improve the customer satisfaction. Let's see this quickly in action. Well, here, you see that the customer is playing with the chat playground. They're basically searching for their claims. They can use a free-flowing search. They got the claim that they're looking for. Now that they can submit for a review of that claim. In the background, though, this is basically being built inside a SQL database. Here we're showing SSMS. By the way, this is a new version. It works seamlessly with the Fabric database. SSMS, new version. I'm basically pointing out a model. I'm getting embeddings. Embeddings, as most of you know, is a mathematical representation to make it easy for you to build a free-flowing search, building vector indexing with our state-of-the-art disk-KNN. All that is done. Now you can tie it up into a stored procedure, enabling the customers to basically do a very easy semantic search. As you can see here, the customer is asking for showing claims where an accident occurred. This is not the exact phrase. This is not a like clause, or this is not an equal predicate clause. It's just basically making a semantic search. But you get the right results here. And that's how the customer basically goes and finds the claims that they're looking for, now that they can ask for a review. All right? OK, what happens once that request lands in the claims request table? It gets picked up by my event stream, and it's basically passed to a custom endpoint for further processing. We're going to look at how to process it with a Spark notebook. Let's first import the AI functions to talk to Azure OpenAI, get the right data frame for reading the stream. Once you have the right data frame, you can basically materialize it and gather the information, query the lakehouse to get the additional information about the customers and their claims. Once you have all that data, you can build an amazing prompt. This prompt basically gets the recommendation from the agent that I've been talking about. Once you have the request, you basically can write it back to the lakehouse. Well, let's see what happens once the agent recommendation is written into the lakehouse. I got the request here. It is written into the lakehouse table. You can imagine now building a Power BI report that basically has an amazing executive summary, and then the claims officer can go on to do a lot more things here in terms of drilling, getting the recommendation, finding the auxiliary information about the customer claims, and so on and so forth. You can imagine how easy it is for the claims officer now to basically serve the needs of the customer. Well, so I would ask you to basically take a pause here and reflect on the complexity of doing such an end-to-end service outside of Fabric, without Fabric. That is really the whole beauty of integration and SaaSifying all these pieces. Now, with databases coming into Fabric, this whole vision of trans-analytical applications is real. You basically can go and gather insights of the data that is just born in operational data in near real time. You could connect all these pieces and make it easy. So the potential of basically gathering so much of information on your operational data is real. You can do that in a governed, secure fashion, most importantly, with AI-enabled aspects. So that's how I wrap it. And to talk further about the AI-enabled features and much more, I'm going to pass it back to my dear friend, Amir.
Thank you, Shirish. I'm so excited about the addition of databases to Fabric. And as Shirish said, translytical. You're going to see the combination of transactional and analytics, translytical application. We're going to be talking about it for the next years. So it's going to be centerpiece of Fabric. But we want to move on and talk a bit about the third pillar of Fabric, which is the AI-enabled business user. It's all about making sure that the business users are getting their insights from the data. This is the world of Power BI that doesn't need any new introduction. And we talk about Power BI. We typically talk about the semantic models that found the logical basis for everything we do. We have the data exploration, the data visualization. This is kind of what we talk about BI. And to show us more, what's coming into Power BI, I want to invite my friend Christian Wade to the stage. Hey, Christian.
Hey, Amir. How's it going?
You're doing great.
All right, hey, everyone. It's an honor to be here.
So this year, we're going to celebrate Power BI 10 years birthday.
10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
My God.
Who've been with us for 10 years now?
Anyone?
Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Right, a lot of people
We
here
are
have been the
so
journey.
grateful to every one of you who've been on this journey with us. We have the most active, most amazing community on the planet. Thank you so much. We're so excited for the future of Power BI with Fabric. We're going to continue right in this wave.
Oh, every month, over 30 million people are using Power BI. I'm not talking about selling licensing. I'm talking real users. It's a gigantic, amazing community of users that have been accompanying us and helping us, guiding the way through the innovation. And we've been delivering innovation month in and month out. There's always a new Power BI desktop drop with new features.
Absolutely right, Amir. This is why so many users love Power BI, because we continually invest in stunning visuals. These are just some of the investments we've made lately, including the brand new list slicer visual, which we'll show you soon. This is what we're all about, empowering non-technical users to create stunning reports and drive a data culture. And ultimately, that's what we're about, driving a data culture.
Now, all these beautiful reports are based on those semantic models that we talked about, right? And the semantic models are the place where we curate all the business ideas, the business concepts that and tie them to data. So the business entities, whether they're customers or products or employees, whether it's the relationship between those, like how they're related through sales or through hiring process, it's the metrics and the measures, the KPIs that we have in the organization. All of that are encapsulated in the semantic model. And there has been some real evolution of semantic models in Fabric.
That's absolutely right, Amir. We put semantics on massive data to make it easily consumable by non-technical users. So yeah, we've made a lot of progress on the storage modes. So these two they've been around for a long time, right? Direct query and import mode. And the way direct query works is users interact with visuals in Power BI reports. That generates DAX queries to the Power BI Analysis Services semantic model, which then translates and federates them as SQL queries to the underlying data source, which means you are at the mercy of the query processor of the underlying database, which invariably is just not geared to and just not as fast at processing these kind of aggregated BI-style queries, right?
And we've seen so many projects that started with the idea of, hey, we'll just put the beautiful visualizations on top of the data warehouse and just generate the SQL queries. And it looks really nice architecturally, but then the users start complaining about the performance. It's sluggish, it's not performing. So they move to the second mode, which is?
That's absolutely right, import mode. Because as you fully know, Amir, we have the fastest BI engine on the planet, blazing fast query performance, interactivity at the speed of thought. It's something to behold. But of course, with import mode, you need to import the data, which causes data duplication and management overhead, right?
Yeah, so even though there is overhead, 90% of you choose import mode. That's a number. 90% choose import mode because of the amazing performance you get with import mode. But you pay for their overhead. You have to have 90 schedules of job. You pay for the processing of data. And this is why Fabric introduced the third mode.
We introduced Direct Lake mode. Direct Lake doesn't federate SQL queries to anyone. Direct Lake uses the same query processor as import. But because it retrieves the data directly from one lake, you don't need to import the data. You get blazing fast performance, it's real time, and there's no data duplication. It's a great deal. You should try it.
Yeah. but you know, I hear from a lot of people here that say Direct Lake sounds great, but you cannot build Direct Lake models in the desktop. The favorite tool. Everybody's using here the Power BI desktop, right? Yeah. But there was no Direct Lake ability to build models in the desktop.
Right, and it's not surprising, right? Because everyone loves Power BI desktop, right? Who loves Power BI desktop? That's what my kids love Power BI desktop, right? You know, it's insane. So we hear you, right? So if we roll this demo, where are we going to start? In everyone's favorite tool, Power BI Desktop, because we are thrilled to announce that as of today, you can create Direct Lake semantic models directly from Power BI Desktop. That's how we roll. I'll click on One Lake Catalog. I'll just go ahead and select a lake house, and I'll create a Direct Lake semantic model in the workspace of my choice. Direct Lake, of course, provides blazing fast query performance directly from the lake without duplicating data, without managing refreshes. But Amir, what I really want to do here, right, I want to add rich semantic modeling objects to make this super easy to consume. And in the interest of time, I'm going to use the new tabular model definition language, affectionately known as TIMDAL, because it provides semantic modeling as code, and it comes with all the pro developer bells and whistles, right? So that's what I'm talking about. You've got some pros in the house. So I'm creating a TIMDAL script and executing it to create sophisticated business calculations, inferred relationships, business definitions, user hierarchies. I'm even using Copilot right here, which is coming soon for the TIMDAL view, to add metadata translations for multilingual semantic models.
Multilingual semantic models you can do with TIMDAL.
That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I've very quickly created this fully loaded semantic model. But what if I want to add some data from another One Lake data item? Maybe some conformed dimensions from a data warehouse? Pretty common, right? Well, am I dependent on the Lakehouse team to do that?
No, you don't want to call the data Lakehouse.
No, fear not. The One Lake Catalog button is still enabled. Just go ahead and select the warehouse of your choice, select the tables you want, create the relationships yourself right here in the model view. And the best thing about it is everything is still in Direct Lake mode. That's what I'm talking about.
So this is like composite models, but for Direct Lake.
Yeah, we are pleased to announce that as of today, you can have multiple Direct Lake sources in the same semantic model. Pretty sick, right? That's what I'm talking about. All right. So, I mean, this thing's fully loaded. I'm proud of my work. This is ready for the masses. But this whole while, we've been live editing the model that we created in the service. Let's just switch over to the web. As you can see, the web has a rich modeling experience in its own right. We're working on adding Power Query supports for import tables in the web. That's coming soon, right? You'll soon be able to combine the flexibility of import and the scalability and efficiency of Direct Lake in the same semantic model. Pretty cool, right?
So, and this is now full modeling capabilities in the browser. So if you are using a Mac, rejoice.
Mac users rejoice. All right. Now, to deploy this, I will, of course, use the built-in Fabric Git integration to ensure the repeatability of deployments to test and production. But of course, the whole point of doing this, in case anyone was wondering, is to enable thousands of business users to create stunning Power BI reports just like this one, using the brand new list slicer visual. So to summarize, we created a new Direct Lake semantic model directly from Power BI Desktop. We added multiple Direct Lake sources. We unlocked massive data with blazing fast query performance, and we didn't copy a single row of data.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Pretty dope,
yeah.
Right?
Now, I love these reports. I absolutely love these reports. And, you know, report and dashboard has been the hallmark of business intelligence. That's what this business intelligence was about. But in the last 2 years, we have come to a completely different way of interacting with the computers, right? We don't just look at screens and read data. We actually have a conversation. We chat with the computer. We started with ChatGPT, but it's taking over everything. And we are adding to Power BI this new modality of chatting with data. And it's all based on everything you already built, on the same semantic models, on the same reports, everything, all the assets you already built are now going to make this experience with chatting with your data is incredibly flawless, okay? So why don't you take a look to see what it means to create a chat with your data?
Okay. So this is a sneak peek, right? This is coming soon. Brace yourself. This is something to behold, all right? Let's go ahead and run this. So imagine I'm a report creator, and I put my love and dedication into building this stunning report. Naturally, I want to empower my report consumers to ask natural language questions about it and get back the right answers. Now, this engagement visual has proven really useful to understand customer retention patterns. So I want to test what users in my organization will see if they ask for customer retention in 2024. Now, understandably, Copilot doesn't know what I'm talking about. How would it? Without prior knowledge, a human wouldn't know this visual is about customer retention either. So just as you would train a new data analyst on your team, I want to educate Copilot on business context using the verified answer feature. Anytime someone asks for cohort retention analysis or customer retention, it's pretty likely they'd be interested in this visual. Now, Copilot will understand how to use this report. And if a user asks for customer retention, they'll get back the verified answer visual. So we ask that Power BI report creators, and there are many of you, join us on this AI transformation journey by helping train Copilot just as you would a new data analyst on your team.
Now, this is really good, but we don't want the users to know which reports to go and have the conversation to the data, right?
Good point, Amir. So let's switch to the business user experience who barely knows what a semantic model is, believe it or not, but happens to be an expert on how to run a business. Let's go ahead and ask for sales over time. And this first step in the discovery process is critical that we get right. There could be thousands of artifacts referring to this term. We have one shot to engage the user. The LLM performed a semantic search based on relevancy signals, such as business definition relevance. How popular is the artifact? Who created it? Is that person part of my organization? And we can, of course, analyze Microsoft Graph for organizational proximity. But in this particular case, I can even see the first report. It's used by my leadership team's app. It's clearly driving business decisions, and it's a trusted source. So I'll go ahead and use number one. We'll get back this nice LLM-generated summary, full with citations. Now I'm off to the races, right? I'm having a conversation with the data.
You can have follow-up questions.
Yeah, let's go ahead and filter, I don't know, filter by sales in Europe. I can now go ahead and expand how Copilot arrived at this to see exactly which filters were applied. And this, of course, Patrick, it will honor the one-leg security rules. No worries. All right, now, but I know what you're thinking, Amir. What if I want to dig a little deeper? Maybe I want to do some slice and dice. Do I need to completely lose context and open?
No, look, I'm old school. I want the slides, the pivoting.
Well,
and like
of course. Well, fear not. I can simply click explore this visual from right here in the chat experience, and I get full-blown slice and dice, clicky, draggy, droppy data analysis directly from the Copilot chat experience. That's what I'm talking about. What do you reckon? Insane, right? Pretty cool. All right. So I can save this.
You can share it, right?
I can share it. Amir, I just remembered. We haven't tested that verified answer visual. We need to test this. Let's ask for customer retention cohorts, and if the demo gods are with us, lo and behold, there is our beautiful retention visual. That's pretty.
Yeah. And what's really cool about the whole thing is you're not in the context of a specific report. You have this new colorful button on the left side ribbon, right? And you can see that it says Copilot. It's going to show up in the next few weeks to all of you in your tenant. And this is a place where every user can come in and start asking questions about any data from any report. They don't have to know how to navigate, they don't have to remember, and have the conversation with the data, right?
Absolutely right. Just that Copilot button right there. So, Amir, in summary, we educated Copilot on key performance metrics, on business terminology, and more importantly, we educated Copilot on how to intelligently connect business users to the right data assets in Fabric for data-driven decision-making in the largest of organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you. All right.
So we want to make sure that all of you can have access to this amazing set of AI capabilities across the board in Power BI and everywhere else in Fabric. So we heard your feedback. You said, why do you have some barriers? Why do you require minimum capacity size? You don't want to use BI and AI? Then we are now removing that barrier. And you can use AI everywhere in Fabric. Starting from F2 capacity, all of the AI capabilities are available to you. Super excited about this. And with this, we are kind of closing the whirlwind tour of Fabric. All the workloads integrated together on top of a common basis of AI, one lake, and governance. And with this, we're going to take a small break, see a little bit of dancing, and we'll see you later after the break. AI, more AI coming. See you.